Fall is such an exciting time of the year because it is a big transition for all of nature and us. In preparation for winter, when nature rests from the growing season, God's creation produces an extra amount of food during the fall. All the available food during the harvest time is very important to the animals that forage because this is an opportunity for them to eat as much as they can to prepare for winter when there is not as much food. Today, we're going to learn about some awesome foraging animals and explore the tasty and beautiful harvest season itself.
One of the things that I love to do is look for hickory trees and collect hickory nuts in the fall. Hickory trees are part of the walnut family and include several species like shagbark, shellbark, pignut, and bitternut.
The most well-known hickories are shagbark, named for their very shaggy appearance as they age. Hickories have a legendary history in North America, providing great hardwood for making furniture and good flavor for smoking meat. These are what the nuts look like. They have a hard outer shell and then a nut inside, which you have to crack open to get to the part that you can eat. Hickory nuts have been used for food by people for a long time.
Native Americans pounded them into a mash and then boiled them to get an oily white liquid called hickory milk that they used for making cornbread. I like to eat hickory nuts after being roasted in the oven and put on top of pumpkin pie. But I'm not the only one who likes to eat hickory nuts. If you want to collect them, you got to get to them before the squirrels.
Tree squirrels love hickory nuts, and all kinds of nuts for that matter. Nuts are a great source of healthy fats and protein, and squirrels make good use of that in the fall. Tree squirrels include species like the fox squirrel, the gray squirrel, which can also be all black, and the red squirrel, which are all part of the squirrel kind. Squirrels eat a variety of nuts, fruits, berries, leaf buds, seeds, insects, and even bird eggs.
In the fall, a squirrel's body responds to the changes going on around it. Gradual loss of daylight triggers hormones to be released into its body that causes the squirrel to eat more food, grow thicker fur, and collect and store nuts and other food for the winter ahead. Squirrels are very busy in the fall.
So busy, in fact, that gray squirrels may collect and hide 1,000 nuts and seeds in a single fall season. And red squirrels can store away more than 15,000 pine cones. They collect all that extra food because they stay active during the winter and need some extra food supplies. They also need to store a lot because they don't remember where they hid everything.
Another popular food source for squirrels are acorns. In the fall, you can find lots of acorns all over the ground under the oak trees that produce them.
Acorns are extremely nutritious for the animals and birds that can eat them. They are packed with healthy fats, vitamins, minerals, and plant compounds. They are also a good source of fiber and antioxidants. This may make acorns sound like a good option for us to eat too, but they're not. At least not unless they're prepared properly.
You see, acorns have tannins in them, which are bitter plant compounds that can hurt our bodies if we have too much of it. For the birds and animals that do eat acorns, they produce a protein in their saliva that counteracts the negative effects of the tannins and allows them to digest it properly.
Tannins are also found in the leaves of the oak tree. Areas with lots of oaks dropping their tannin-rich leaves and acorns on the ground can actually change the soil itself, which determines what kind of trees and plant life can grow there.
Oaks are fascinating trees, especially with their effect on the forest life around them. Lots of creatures love to eat acorns in the fall, like squirrels, crows, jays, woodpeckers, and the third largest rodent in the world. Well, here we have the quill pig. At least, that's what its name means in the original Latin. We know it as the cute, but not cuddly, North American porcupine. North American porcupines can weigh between 12 and 35 pounds, making them one of the largest rodents on Earth, behind beavers and capybaras. Porcupines as a whole are divided into two different animal kinds. The Old World porcupine kind, found in Africa, Europe, and Asia, and the New World porcupine kind, found in North, Central, and South America. The New World porcupine kind, like this one here, are great at climbing. They love spending time up in the trees. They have strong claws for gripping the bark and a powerful tail for supporting themselves as they climb. They do rest more in the wintertime, but they stay active, looking for food. Like all rodents, they have large incisor teeth in the front that look orange because the outer coating contains iron to make them stronger. They need strong incisor teeth because they gnaw on wood and other things all the time. In fact, the word rodent comes from a French word that means to gnaw. Equipped with those teeth, porcupines can eat almost anything they want. Fruits, nuts, berries, acorns, leaves, and green plants during the summer and the fall. But during the wintertime, they mostly eat inner tree bark, twigs, and evergreen needles. The main thing that porcupines are known for, of course, are their quills. They have over 30,000 of them. They are made of keratin, the same material in your hair and nails. Each quill has around 700 to 800 tiny barbs on the end of it that help the quills easily hook into any skin it touches and makes them very painful to remove. Porcupines only have quills on their back, mixed in with some soft hair. So if a predator comes too close, they just turn around and make sure the intruder is facing those quills. Porcupines can't shoot their quills, but they will point them up in the air and swish their tail at anything that gets too close. Another cool fact about the quills is that each one has its own coating of a natural antibiotic. That means that getting stuck with a quill doesn't necessarily mean that it will get infected. Scientists believe porcupines have this antibiotic on their quills to protect themselves just in case of a self-quilling. Having more than 30,000 highly specialized quills on their back that regrow as they use them is an incredibly unique and effective means of self-defense. Porcupines are slow and nearsighted and would be easy prey if they didn't have some sort of protection. But that wasn't needed when God first created the world. After sin and death entered the Garden of Eden, some animals started eating other animals for food, and creatures needed to be able to protect themselves to survive. It really is amazing how God designed animals with the ability to adapt to survive in a world full of sin in such astonishing ways. Every year, summer ends and fall transitions us into winter. In Genesis 8:22, it says, "While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease." It's something we can count on and set our calendar by. But to understand how and why this happens, we need an outside perspective. God has placed planet Earth in exactly the right place and distance from the sun to give us life, the right amount of day and night, and the seasons. But it also spins on an axis, which is why we have the seasons. On one side of the sun, the northern hemisphere, where we are, is tilted towards the sun. That's when we have warm summers and lots of daylight. But as it orbits the sun, we get less and less daylight until we have the same amount of daylight and darkness, which is at the autumnal equinox, which comes from Latin meaning equal day and night. And this is the key to all the changes that go on in nature in the seasonal year. Animals and plants respond to the gradual loss of daylight as we move from summer to fall, and God has programmed living things to prepare for winter when this happens. That's why animals store food or grow thicker coats of fur. That's why plants produce fruits and nuts and crops. The growing season is over, and before winter, God provides for nature with an abundance of food and instincts to prepare. Another animal that forages through the fall and the winter is right down here next to me here at the Howell Nature Center, the wild turkey. Turkeys are part of the landfowl kind and are found across most of North America. They were first encountered by Europeans when the Spanish invaded Mexico in the 1500s. The Aztec people had domesticated some down there, and those turkeys were shipped to Europe. Their name comes from the country of Turkey, either intentionally to sound exotic or by accident, since the similar-looking African guinea fowl came through the Turkish trade routes. Turkeys are one of the few native birds to North America that have been regularly and easily domesticated. For this reason, they became very popular in Europe, and the Pilgrims brought some turkeys over with them to start their new life in the New World, only to find wild turkeys out in the forest all around them.
Turkeys provided an important source of food for the Pilgrims during their first year and for that first Thanksgiving at the Plymouth settlement. Later on in history, turkeys were overhunted in the eastern United States, which brought their population down dangerously low. But due to some great wildlife conservation work since then, turkeys can be found today in every state except Alaska, and there are more than 7 million living in the wild. This turkey here is a male turkey called a tom or a gobbler because of the gobble gobble sounds that it makes. Tom turkeys can look very impressive, puffing up their body, fanning out their tail feathers, and showing off their colorful head and bright red wattle. Toms can get up to 4 feet long from beak to tail, weigh up to 24 pounds, with a wingspan of over 4.5 feet. Despite their big size, turkeys are actually very fast. They can run up to 25 miles per hour and fly at speeds of up to 55 miles per hour. That's really fast for a big bird.
Turkeys prefer forests and wooded habitats, but they'll forage in open meadows too. And believe it or not, these big birds will roost high up in trees for safety at night.
They are excellent at foraging, and being omnivores, they will eat many different things throughout the year. Some of their favorite foods are berries, seeds, nuts, acorns, insects, and leafy green plants, as well as corn, wheat, and oats found in farmland during the harvest.